Noise on set,
Sorry.
because we've got 5 of them here. The young heartthrobs who started performing together as teenagers. In 20 years, the Backstreet Boys have come a long way from their manufactured pop beginnings.
With 130 million record sales, a breakup and a reunion under their belt, their career as a band has definitely had its ups and downs. Now they've decided to look back in a new, really warts and all documentary.
Yes, Nick, Howie, Brian, AJ and Kevin will be here. Well, they
are
are here.
Actually.
They'll be here.
We
They'll
can
be
see
telling
them.
us more about it in just a moment, is what I'm trying to say. First, here's a reminder of some of their greatest hits.
We've got it going on for years. Jam on the Backstreet's got it. Come on now, everybody. Quit playing games with my heart. Playing games with my heart. Before you tear us apart. Quit playing games with my heart. Should've known from the start. You know you got it. From my heart. You're tearing us apart. Quit playing games with my heart. And you say that I want it that way. Tell me why it ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why it ain't nothing but a mistake.
They can't stop talking.
Oh, AJ, Howie, Brian, Nick and Kevin are all here. Lovely to see you again. Thank you very much for coming back to see
Thanks
us.
for calling us young heartthrobs. You're saying
Compared
young.
to some of us, you still are.
Exactly, exactly.
that.
Absolutely. I mean, I watched lots of the documentary. Is it a documentary or film? Would we call it?
Documentary.
Documentary. I
Whatever you
watched
wanna
it
call it.
last night. It's honest, isn't it? Was it? What was the sort of process like? Who wants to start?
Just to let the cameras roll
Yeah.
and try to ignore them as much as possible and just be real and honest.
And was it difficult? Because I mean, we see you in tears.
Yeah.
Was it tough to be able to let that go and sort of talk about tough things?
I couldn't help myself in that moment.
Yeah.
I just speaking about my father and his last days, and that's where he spent his last days, and that's where I lived before I left home. So it hit home hard.
Yeah.
But you weren't the only one, so that's all right. Because I mean, what I thought was refreshing about the film, which sort of documents you coming together, getting ready for trying to write some songs, and then getting ready for your sort of your tour, was I thought, oh, this is going to be a sort of another pop-tastic program, really. And you did there's stuff you put in there which I was really surprised by. When two of you have a little bit of a spat. But that was that the toughest? I mean, or was it? Well, I was going to say, was that the only one that got filmed, or
We've had, actually, yeah, it was.
several.
It was the
Was
only
it?
one that
Yeah.
got
Okay.
filmed.
But if
I
you're
think.
sort of
that
you're all
degree.
tigers together, you know, you're gonna have.
We're family.
Bro.
Yeah.
We're like brothers. We're going to
Yeah.
fight, laugh, cry.
We've had worse than that.
We've had
Yes.
physical fights.
Have
for
you
sure.
really?
Absolutely.
Him and I the most, probably.
Do you? We should have put you on opposite sides of the
Hey, buddy.
It's like a marriage.
You can see the body language. Yeah, I mean, that's for the fans' point of view, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, they do see a different side to you as well.
Yeah.
Were you worried by putting that out there? Or
No, I think we, like Kevin said, we wanted to be as honest as we could. I mean, this started as a small, tiny little stripe-on piece that you could put on the back of the CD.
Right.
And then it evolved into this amazing, I think it's an amazing art form of really who we are as grown men now.
Yeah.
Because it's 22 years later.
Yeah, you came together as a teenage, brought together by a guy called Lou Pearlman,
Yes.
who was your sort of sugar daddy to begin with, and then that sweet taste turned a little bitter, as we find out in the film. Let's have a look. Millions of dollars made, which didn't come to you. And Lou Pearlman, is he still in prison now?
Yes.
He is.
He got a 25-year sentence for this huge fraud
Ponzi
scam.
scheme.
Yeah.
That's
correct.
Embezzling over $300 million.
So you were lucky in a sense to sort of separate from him when you did, even though it was very expensive for you.
Yeah, I mean, Brian was the one that kind of launched the whole lawsuit and came to us because he had noticed that something just wasn't right, both in his gut and on paper. I mean, all of us did. Obviously, we're out there touring, making all this money, but our bank accounts are not showing remotely what we should be making. So something wasn't right. And, we were really naive when we first signed with Lou, and Lou was the 6th Backstreet Boys. So whatever we made, he made. just
Plus, he
sitting
was
as
a manager that received a
manager,
commission.
yeah.
Plus, he was getting reimbursed for all the expenses. He was recouping all the
Yeah, so
expenses, and
also-
that's a breach.
So it's like,
Triple
my
dipping.
goodness.
That's a breach of
I can't take
fiduciary
70.
duty as a manager.
Yeah, and you were so, I mean, you were incredibly young when this first started. So what is your advice for, I mean, you know, is the industry still like that? That's what I kind of want to know, I guess.
No, I think
No.
it can be, but I
can,
think
yeah.
you know with
Yeah.
social media and you know history and you know there's a lot of eyes on everyone now. I think
Yeah.
what we went through was kind of extraordinary, and I don't know if it'll ever
in-
happen
in
again
some ways-
or if people will let it happen again.
In some ways, we could have told you what was going to happen to you before it happened. So your young talents, naive, taken advantage of, become hugely and wildly popular, more than you can imagine, go on exhausting tours, never stop working, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, court cases, anger, fighting, separation. I mean, it's the
You're a
story that's been,
psychic.
it's been,
Oh,
it's
a
been written
psychic.
over and over
I was gonna say,
again.
is this the norm
in the
for a
music
group?
business.
It sounds like the
Yeah.
movie The Five Heartbeats
Heartbeats,
about
yeah.
the Temptations.
Yeah.
Right.
The only
know,
difference
it-
was we could have stopped and just thrown in the towel.
Well, this is
And
what
we
is
didn't.
amazing, isn't it?
Yes,
To see you
we did.
here
Yeah.
together as well. What is it? 22,
Almost 22 years,
22
yeah.
years
Next
on.
month will be 22
It's hard
years.
because there was so much that we couldn't put in the film.
Yeah.
You know, that so many things that you know were untold, and
So many fights.
even we talked so many fights, just so many experiences that we've been through 22 years.
See, what I find so extraordinary, you went the sort of part one of the roots of your your separation earlier was just this exhaustion, this constant touring you did, and you're doing it again, aren't you?
Yes.
Well,
Like-
what is it? I mean,
We're like
becomes
abused
part
kids.
of-
We keep on taking it.
more importantly,
No, it
one of the
becomes-
big issues of the film is your voice.
Yes.
Yeah, how
And how is it?
It's better. If you talked to me like 4 or 5 months ago, I couldn't speak. So
Really?
it's better today. So
Because you
I'm
put under a lot
blessed.
of pressure on these
Yeah.
tours. When are you going back on the road?
We actually have the last bit of our tour that we're finishing up in April.
One of my favourite scenes is when you, because you know the moves were fantastic, always were, and when you're clearly exhausted, because it's different again, isn't it, doing it 22 years
It is,
later?
and you know, thankfully I'm the youngest, but I still feel it like everyone else does. You know, but we look at ourselves like we're the full package. We dance, we sing,
Yeah.
and it's about
Brilliant.
the show. It's about putting on a show.
The documentary is
It's
called
fantastic.
Backstreet Boys Show
Yeah.
and What You're Made Of. It's out on Thursday, and there's a special online gig as well, isn't there?
Yes.
And it's been great to see you again. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
Thank you.
coming
Lovely
in.
to see you.
Great,
Thanks.
great stories to tell. That's it from Breakfast this morning. Back tomorrow at 6. See you then.
Bye-bye.